Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Welcome to the show. We're just going to get right into it. Matthew Marsden, BlazeTV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, also known as First Buddy on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered.
You know it.
Also along for the ride, we have Jason Buttrill, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program. And, you can be second buddy today.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Foreign relations expert of Sara Gonzales Unfiltered.
Add the title. Good.
What else is, any other titles that I'm missing?
I don't think that we can say on air.
We'll save that for the break. Yeah. I'll let you decide if it's a nice one or a not nice one. Anyway, you can find him, Matthew D. Marsden, on YouTube. You can find him on, where do you prefer people find you? X?
X, yeah. At Jason Buttrill.
You got a big following on X. At Jason Buttrill.
Kind of.
You get spicy sometimes, as far as Jason Buttrill's go. You can find me at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Go get you some lipstick, some bronzer, maybe some skincare. We've got it all over at AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. So I want to, we keep being told, Islam is a religion of peace. We should just welcome all of these people. It's fine. There's no assimilation, but it's fine. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, don't look over at what's happening in the UK. What could possibly go wrong by welcoming in a completely different, not just religion, but a completely different culture predicated on, just things that are antithetical to the Constitution and our founding documents. So what's happening in Washington State, there's two Muslim parents in Washington State by the name of Ihsan and Zahra Ali, who are on trial for attempted murder in a suspected honor killing of their 17-year-old daughter. Now, there were several bystanders that stepped in to protect the girl from her father's attack. And I want to play some of this, but I do, obviously, because of what it is, viewer discretion is advised. He's like choking his daughter. If we have that, if we play it. Yeah. So, there it is over in the right-hand corner. You can see the struggle here. And apparently, there's all these bystanders trying to get him off. The victim said that her father was planning to send her to Iraq for an arranged marriage with a much older man. And when she refused, she said that he threatened to kill her in an honor killing. So she, in an attempt to avoid what's happening right here that you guys are watching, she ran away from home. She went to her high school counselor, who was able to get her a bed at a local youth center. But on her way there, her father found her at the bus stop, which is what you just watched, and choked her until she passed out. And there were testimonies in court that said that the girl's mother was also involved in the attack and hit the girl and her boyfriend just prior to the recorded event that you guys just watched. So why does this matter? Well, for one, the left keeps claiming, we keep hearing from them, Islam is just a religion of peace, and you're Islamophobic if you say otherwise, but it's just really not. And Islamic culture just keeps growing in America. Again, we see what's happening in the UK, and Matt, I'm sure you'll have something to say about that. But, you've got this whole trend on social media to bring attention to this matter, and I want to play an example from X where users are posting videos like this. Says, no, this isn't Syria, this is Texas. Why are they wearing black like ISIS? Where are the women and children? Great question. One would assume they're not allowed to be there and be seen at all. You would think that feminists would have a real problem with that, but incredibly, they don't. Again, so this is Atlanta, Georgia. That was Texas, the previous one. So, this is crazy. Dearborn, Michigan, which shouldn't be a shock to anyone who's paying attention to what has happened over in Dearborn. And you've got, when you look at all of these little pop-ups across the country in places where sometimes you wouldn't expect, you also have Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who continues to try to tell people, remember, when it comes to 9/11, some people just did some things. But Islam is peaceful and harmless to America. And I want to show a little bit of what she addressed Islamophobia in a statement a few years ago. She said, the truth is that Islamophobia pervades our culture. This includes falsely claiming Muslims want to replace the Constitution and implement Sharia law, portraying Muslims as inherently violent, suggesting that Muslim women are all oppressed or that Muslims hate other religions. Show me the lie. I'd love to know where's the lie? Do they want to institute Sharia law? All of the ones that I've heard from do. Are they inherently violent according to their own religious documents? I would argue yes. Are they oppressive to women? Yeah. You just saw the father choking his daughter because she didn't want to go to an arranged marriage with a, quote, much older man, whatever the hell that means, at 17. And I don't know. I'm not like a Muslim expert. I'm not an Islam expert, but I'm pretty sure that when it comes to hating other religions, like this is what makes it so different than, oh, you're not Christian. Oh, you're not Jewish. Oh, you're not any of these religions. Well, this is the only religion that I know of. You guys speak up if you know of another one. There's a bug here.
Get it.
Did I get it?
Missed it.
Shit! Now it's going to be flying around. There are no other religions that I know of that, like, in their actual religious book, in their holy book, it tells people, like, you should kill people if they don't subscribe to this religion. I mean, that really is the only one that I can think of. And I want to, let me just play here for you, just to talk about how pervasive this is in American culture, in American society today. It's creeping up on us, guys. Here's Minneapolis mayoral candidate Omar Fateh talking about Somali communities in America. Watch.
I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us and represent all of us, because when we succeed here, we succeed everywhere. And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdrazak, inshallah.
You're welcome to go home. You don't need to stay here, because there's also, of course, the one that we've talked about. I know, Jason, you've probably written many a monologue on this, Zohran Mamdani over in New York City, the Democrat primary candidate. And he has spoken very openly about supporting the Intifada. He said in an interview very recently, actually, with the Wall Street Journal, that he wants to just discourage the phrase globalize the Intifada. So listen, it has a bad connotation, okay, but he doesn't want to discourage the idea behind it. So really, we still want to do it. We just don't want to say it, because those are buzzwords that, you know, those crazy Christians may not like as we're taking over their cities. And then, of course, you've got Epic City in Plano, Texas. Despite the pushback, it has not been stopped yet, even though the governor of this state has claimed that he's on it. He's on it. So you've got Islam that's increasing in America, not just the religion, but the culture. And I think those are two maybe different things, but they coincide, a lot of it. But it's not just, hey, we don't like this religion. This is not, you can't have both the Constitution and the founding documents upon which we exist and Islam in America. They are not, they don't go together. You can't live in a place like that. That just doesn't work, which is probably, by the way, why they have all of these compounds that they're building that are all self-sufficient, because they also know that. So, Matt, I'll let you weigh in first here, just because of your homeland. Can I call it that?
This is my homeland.
I know. That's why I'm like that guy.
Not like that clown who.
That guy, the I'm the captain now guy was calling Somali his homeland. Of course, I'm just poking fun at you, but that is where you came from. You have relatives still there, and they presumably have seen what happens when you're like, yes, we welcome all cultures. Everyone, just come. We're just a melting pot. Come on in. Don't assimilate. It's fine. You can't even if you wanted to, because it's you can't assimilate when this is what you believe in. But it's fine.
Yeah, well, part of the issue with the UK, which is why I have a lot of hope for the United States of America, is the UK has no God. There is no religion in the UK. It is a secular society now. And as a result, I think that because they don't understand what it means to love and obey a God, a Christian God, they don't understand what it means to follow Islam. They don't recognize the threat in it. All right. And I do want to make something very clear about the differences. So what will happen very often is when people are talking about religion, they'll look at Christianity and they'll say, what about Leviticus? What about this? What about that? And they'll talk about the Old Testament, right? And we have to turn around to them and say, look, the Old Testament for Christians is taken into context. with the New Testament, there is a new covenant. There is a new Adam in Jesus, right? So that's very, very important for us to understand. Now, with Islam, if you break down Islam into, because I think what's important here is, and again, the left is very crafty. She talks about Muslims. She doesn't talk about Islam. Right? Because then, it's like, I have a friend of mine, Michelle, said, Matt, you're the first Catholic I've met here, because there's so many cultural Catholics that don't actually follow their faith. There are a lot of Muslims that actually don't follow their faith, right? So, and they assimilate, they get on with their lives. But it's important for people to understand that you can basically break down, I'll just be very quick with this, as quick as I can. You can break down Muhammad's life into 3 separate sections, right? The beginning, which was when he was like, hey, listen, peace be upon you, respect the people of the book. The second part of it, when he was getting a little bit more militant, but he was still peaceful. And the last part of his life was called, there are verses in it called the sword verses, right? There's a reason why it's called the sword verses, because he was going around saying basically convert or die, which was what happened in his first big battle. Why is that relevant? Well, anything that is put later on in his life, in the timeline of his life, that contradicts anything that goes on early on in his life is abrogated, which means that earlier life, the statements from his earlier life are dismissed. They do not matter. So what you have is people quoting the Quran from the early moments of Muhammad's life, when really they're abrogated. They don't matter, because what does matter is what happened later on in his life, which were the more violent warlord years. Okay, so you have to understand that. I studied this after 9/11, because I went out and I saw, like, in one section people saying, no, Islam is peaceful, and you saw a bunch of peaceful Muslims, and then you saw a bunch of people like going, yes, death to America. And I'm like, hang on a minute, you actually, by the way, killed a bunch of Muslims in the Twin Towers, right? So, and again, if you're looking at what happened in Iraq and in Afghanistan, there are Muslims against Muslims trying to fight for their freedom. So to look and to say, well, what is the truth about what these people quote? And it's that they're always disingenuous. It's exactly what they do in the UK. Is what they do in the USA, is they start saying, well, look, it says respect people of the book. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. Let's just go a little bit forward in his lifetime, and let's see where it says smite the unbelievers at their necks, right? Smite their hands where if they steal. These are all things that are out there. I mean, this should not be above criticism. And again, what happens when you start talking about Islam is what you get called. Islamophobe.
Hateful, bigot, all the things.
Racist. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Islam was a race.
Yeah. I mean, I would say a peaceful Muslim is a Muslim who's bad at their religion. Right? Like, do you disagree, Jason?
It's weird, because I've known and worked with a lot of Muslims, like through my job, even working here when I would have to go to places.
Hire Muslims here?
Like when I would have to go to places like Iraq.
Oh, thank God, not here.
Reporting and stuff like that. Not here.
I'm just kidding.
But there is, I'll make a distinction. There is actually a big difference between Muslims and Islamists.
Yeah.
Yep. And an Islamist is someone that, just a very basic definition for it, is someone that believes in political Islam. So it's not just like somewhere they go and pray on the weekends, to a mosque or something like that. They believe in changing the culture, changing the society based around political Islam.
But doesn't their holy book call for that?
Pretty much, and as Marsden laid out, there's a lot of cherry picking. I think even people within the faith that will choose not to, mess with that. I don't want to compare.
That's what I'm saying.
To like Christianity, but a lot of like Christians will just kind of ignore the Old Testament and just follow the New Testament. I think there's similar Muslims that are kind of similar. They'll like cherry pick different doctrine, but those people do exist that are not Islamists. Now there's the hardcore Islamists that will take hadith and will take the teachings written into the Quran, and they're very, very hardcore. They're like, I don't know if you guys ever read about the Project from the Muslim Brotherhood. Google the Project, and it was a Muslim Brotherhood initiative to go into places like the United States and completely turn it from, a constitutional republic based off of Western, Christian values, Judeo-Christian values, into a Muslim country. And there were organizations like that are still active today that are spin-offs of the Muslim Brotherhood, like CARE. They were one of the ones implicated in that FBI sting back in the late 80s or early 90s. Nihad Awad was at that conference where they got busted funneling money to Hamas. He was there. He is now the head of CARE still. You will see those people walking the halls of Congress with people like Ilhan Omar, people like that. They are very intertwined into our government. And it's scary when you look at places like the UK. We just did something, a show not too long ago when we were looking at what happened in the UK. And before, like today, you ask about no-go zones in places like London. And now it's like, oh my gosh, you don't say it. Like politicians, they don't say it. You're instantly shut down with be calling, you're called a bigot, whatever. But back then, CNN was doing stories on these gangs that were enforcing Sharia law in certain neighborhoods. You could say it then. At a certain point, their influence got so high, like places like, organizations like CARE or whatever, to where they were able to put those voices down. And so now, I saw, it was on like London Bridge, they were singing the call to prayer. They had this big public display, like the videos you saw earlier, where they're like shutting down entire
intimidation.
streets.
That's what that is.
It's a show of power is what it is. They've gotten to a certain point to where the Islamists are like, we're here, you can't do a thing about it, and it's spreading. It's rapidly multiplying, and you can't do a thing about it. Texas, Dallas. Like, did you that one Epic City? So we did a thing on that. I remember it was like a lieutenant in that area. Is it Irving? Is that where it's at?
Probably.
Irving. It was a lieutenant in that police department was calling it out and saying, you guys are worried about their expansion city?
Yeah.
It's already built right in the middle here.
Yeah, it is Irving.
They already operate that way.
Which, just so everyone knows, is like right outside the door here. This is Irving.
We're here.
That's where we tape, and that's where Jason's talking about.
They'll take over churches. They brag about this. If you go to memory.com, MEMRI, and you can see they have translated and sometimes in English sermons from mosques where they are straight up Islamists and they're talking about everything they're going to do. And they brag about going to a church, giving them an offer they can't refuse, buying the church, turning it into a mosque bit by bit. Then they'll brag about setting up Sharia courts, completely bypassing constitutional law. They just brag about it out in the open. This is how it starts. I don't see anything stopping it right at this moment, which makes this very, very scary.
And they're very, very well funded.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we have to understand. Like, again, this is one of the frustrations with me from the right? Because, I've gone on and on and on about how the right doesn't fund the culture, how it doesn't fund entertainment to push.
Forget funding. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel.
But I mean, if they don't, people
That's
don't
free.
even click and subscribe for free because of Google. But then you've got these other entities around the world, which, by the way, have become fabulously wealthy from Americans, massive transfer of wealth because we've been buying their oil. Again, thank you, Joe Biden, and all these, where Trump's saying, he's saying, I want to be energy independent. This is really important. And so what they do, and they're not stupid, they'll identify certain people and they'll pay them and they'll go, just go out there and say whatever you want to say, right? And it's a major problem. Yeah. But there are people within the Muslim community that are completely against it and they cannot say anything because the truth of the matter is eventually it comes down to violence, intimidation and violence. That's the bottom line. That's why people don't say anything because they're like, well, are they going to show up to my house?
Which is why I say a peaceful Muslim is bad at their religion. Listen, I could tell Jason was very uncomfortable when I said that. That's just my personal opinion, not Jason Buttrill's.
I totally get where you're coming from, and you're not wrong, and pointing some of those things out, what says in their own, teachings. But right. I've just known a lot of Muslims before that have nothing to do with, Islamism, and they're just not like that. But there's a ton of them. There's just a lot of the Islamists, and there's a lot of people willing to follow them. But if they don't feel empowered to call out the bad ones, what does that say about the religion as a whole? To me, that says, well, I guess that's what your religion is supposed to be about, right? I mean, if you can't call out the very violent ones who are clearly like causing a problem,
what does that say about it as a whole?
Well, listen, they're actually Muslim countries are way better at dealing with this than the West is, because they know. Like, if you look at the way that Egypt, or if you look at the way that Saudi Arabia deal with this, they're like, no, you are going to jail. Like, that's it, boom, you're gone. But I just want to make this analogy to your point.
Yeah, real quick.
I am a Catholic, and one of the biggest things that people say about Catholics is that we worship Mary, right? It's absolutely not true. Now, if you aren't educated properly on that, the amount of Hispanics that I see that you could be forgiven for thinking that they worship Mary because the way they treat Mary, right? A lot of people would rightly say, well, they worship Mary. That's because they're not educated on their faith in the way that they should be. So to your point, the question is, the more educated you become on your faith, do you become a better Christian? Right? The more educated you get on your faith as a Muslim, do you become more radical?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because think about this. Christianity, when it was spread across the world, was actually spread by people dying for their faith. When Islam was spread across the world, it was other people dying for.
Yeah, it was them killing other people.
Killing other people. I mean,
faith.
it just was. I mean, that is just a historical fact, and we shouldn't shy away from speaking about it, because that gives the opportunity for the other side to come in and go, hey, listen, we're not like that anymore. That was, whatever it was. Yeah. But we need to be more educated on both their faith and our faith.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Now that I've made Jason really uncomfortable, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And we'll be back. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is there for those of you who, you just reached the age where things hurt. Maybe it's knee pain, neck pain, back pain, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a pain in the ass. Not that I'm looking at anyone in particular. What? Oh, hey, Matt.
Hey, what?
But by the way, I bring Matt up because he has had great success with Relief Factor.
Very nice.
And I have as well. So many people. Jason has used it as well with great results because, listen, he's not what you would call young anymore. And when he was younger, he's former military, and
he was bad on his body.
He did a lot of hard things on hard surfaces.
Is that right?
Man, I didn't even mean it like that, man.
You always mean it like that.
I didn't this time.
You always do.
I didn't mean it like that this time. It's just second nature to me, apparently. But the point is, if you're in pain, try Relief Factor. It's an all-natural anti-inflammatory, and it actually works, and it could be life-changing, actually. Now, guys, don't get excited. It doesn't come with avocados or blueberries or any of the other fruits that you see, or an egg in this picture. But it does come with the 3-week quick start pack, and 70% of the people who order that can go on to keep ordering more. So listen, it could be life-changing if you're in pain. Go to relieffactor.com. Go get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. All right. So you guys, listen, longtime viewers of this program are not going to be shocked to hear this at all. But I think we'll call this segment "I Told You So." In a Senate committee hearing earlier today, this was yesterday. Dr. Robert Sullivan testified about the effects of the COVID vaccine on just numerous athletes. And, I don't know. This is telling me to say it was discovered to be more harmful than we originally thought. Ha ha, not me. I told you guys that all this was going to happen. And this is me being vindicated by Dr. Sullivan. Watch.
I learned many hospitalized COVID patients develop pulmonary hypertension. Autopsy showed the same kind of lung vessel damage I had. Long COVID patients with persistent breathlessness have the same findings. As in my case, their symptoms improve, but the damage remains. We now know the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein can damage the lungs, heart, and brain in animals. It is toxic, irrefutably so. I know that's uncomfortable to hear. One study found athletes who got mRNA boosters saw drops in aerobic capacity equivalent to aging 5 to 10 years in just 1 week. Wow. Why is this?
1 week, 5 to 10 years in 1 week. He also had a peer-reviewed study that showed athletes losing that lung capacity, but it wasn't just him, or athletes, excuse me, it was also him personally, and he testified. I know. If it's a doctor that testifies negatively about the COVID vaccine, he must be a quack. He must have not gone to the same institutions as all of the doctors that are pro-COVID vaccine. But he says that his own lung capacity was nearly cut in half. He said, on the outside, I look fine. I've lost half my lung capacity. If I can look this normal while carrying that much damage, how many others are out there suffering silently? And he now has pulmonary hypertension, which is a condition that forces the heart to work harder to provide more blood flow to the lungs. He also says that the COVID vaccine raised his blood pressure. So this study that he mentioned, it was a 2022 study. It found that 19% of athletes who, by the way, their average age was 37, which maybe I'm just of the age where I don't think that's very old, but it's not very old. 37 was the average age of this study. 19% of athletes experienced an 8.6% drop in their VO2, which is how efficiently your body uses oxygen. So the lower the VO2 number, the harder your body is working to process oxygen. And then the remaining 81% of the participants averaged a 2.7% drop in VO2. So this is not just long COVID or shortness of breath. You're talking about very long and, in some cases, permanent lung damage for a lot of people. And there still has been no recourse or retribution for that. In fact, one thing that I was actually flabbergasted to see that I don't even think we got a chance to talk about on the show was that they just said that the COVID vaccine is now recommended for children, healthy children. And I'm like, how the does that happen? How do you get a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of HHS and then say, hold on, wait a second, we're not recommending it for healthy children? And then who the hell got in their ears and said, no, you will recommend this? And now all of a sudden we're seeing things like this happening in athletes. And we're like, yeah, let's give it to our children, our healthy children who are not predisposed to anything negative, any sort of long-term outcomes from COVID. Let's go ahead and give this to them, just for funsies. It is insane to me that anyone did this for any amount of time, but that we're still actually doing this. I would love to know the numbers of what is the difference in the amount of people who are continuing to go out and get these COVID vaccines. Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone who's still getting it?
I know no one. And why? You don't even hear about COVID anymore. So I don't know why you'd go off and get a vaccine for it.
Right. Well, which is why I'm like, why are we recommending it for healthy children right now? That makes no sense.
Mm-mm. I don't know.
Other than follow the money.
Just that VO2 issue, just right there. That would be like on a list of side effects, like on a commercial that you would see. That right there would give most people cause to say, "Oh, I'm not." But think about the climate of when all this was pushed. We knew nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing. They didn't know whether it was gonna. There are vaccines, medications, all kinds of stuff that they know will cause certain side effects and pretty scary side effects. They still won't even say that. Mm-hmm. They still will not say that. It's insane.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. And not only did they not tell us these things, and they're still not being told, but it was mandated on the public. This is absolute lunacy madness.
I know.
And we're just a couple of years beyond. We haven't even gotten to the long-term effects yet.
Yep.
This hasn't even started yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what was so... Me several years ago screaming from the rooftops, like, guys, how can you possibly know what the effects are? They just came out with it. You got to wait 5-10 years before you know the full ramifications, the full effects of something. And that's if they do the studies properly, which before RFK was in charge of HHS, you couldn't trust that they did because there was evidence of them manipulating data and cooking the books literally all the time. There have been documentaries done about it. There are actual senior CDC, people, scientists who are like, yes, we manipulated the data. Yes, we took out this group of people. We figured out a way to take them out of the study that we did so that the factors wouldn't be statistically significant anymore. I mean, they were cooking the books the entire time. And it's crazy to me that anyone was like, yeah, we should totally just take this for a virus that was 99.5% you recovered from, you lived from.
One of the things that I think exposed them, which is certainly was the red pill for me, was when I had COVID. And I said, I have natural immunity. And they were like, oh, no, you've still got to have it.
Do it anyway.
And then the next thing that happened, Sarah, was...
Natural immunity became a myth. Do you remember that?
Totally
They said the myth of natural immunity.
And the second thing that happened was they went, kids don't have any symptoms. They're unaffected by it. And then they went, you've still got to vaccinate your kids. And I'm like, you are out of your effing mind. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, it's just applying critical thinking. And as you know, I got hammered as well. I mean, even after Biden dropped the mandates that were out there, SAG, Screen Actors Guild, was still mandating that you had to be on set, you had to be vaccinated.
And wear a mask, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, all the time. And by the way, I got called a liar because I did Reacher, and I was like, Reacher was before that was mandated. Like, that was... You know, it actually came later on. So it was really frustrating for me to be called a liar when I'm like, actually, I know, I was there. I was the guy that was doing it. You can go and check it out. Like, it's very easy to check up.
Yeah.
But here's the issue. Well, there's a couple of them. The first thing is, this has changed society forever in multiple ways. It's changed. We don't know about these cancers that seem to be popping up. I mean, I know at least 3 people that have cancers that have popped up. I didn't know that many, certainly young people that had cancers before, right? That's just popped up. And it's so insidious because you can't point to it. Right? You can't, oh, hang on a minute, I've got hypertension. I never had hypertension before. Oh, well, you're getting older. Or there's no way that you can really relate to it. But on the other hand, what it's done is nobody trusts these anymore. And these doctors that are still going out, Sarah, and they're still saying, you see, the vaccine saved lives. What about those girls? Do you remember there was the one girl that was having the seizures when they took the vaccine? And they were like, you're making it up.
The one girl. I wish it was just the one girl. It was way too many Americans.
Well, I mean, I saw one that was having this, and everyone was like, oh, you just it's clear, look, she's just acting. It's just for social media. I'm like, you out of your mind? Mm-hmm. People that had like, one side of their body just completely go either limp or they get rashes everywhere. I mean, these were massive reactions.
Yeah.
We need accountability on this. I hate to say it. I don't think we will ever get it. But the one person that needs to be done, because you got to look back at where this all started. There wouldn't have had to be a vaccine if there wasn't a virus. And that guy, you know I'm talking about, needs to be prosecuted and sent to jail. I don't give a shit about this auto pen pardon bullshit. Mm-hmm. He needs to go to jail. Anthony Fauci.
You talk about the moment you were red pilled on this, and I remember I was always just kind of like laughing at you when you were talking about a lot of this stuff.
Everyone in the building thought I was so kooky about vaccines.
I was on a journey for sure, but one of the big turning points for me is right in the middle of this. I had to go pick up my son from schools during our schools actually stayed open, but they had to wear the masks and all this stupid stuff. But they were heavily suggesting that they should all get vaccinated, and they're just kids. Right. But I had to go pick him up because he puked in school, which every single kid does.
I remember this.
I went to go pick up my kid after he puked, and then they're like, yeah, so you should probably get him vaccinated. Oh, and you need to take him home, and he can't come back to school for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Because
I was like, wait, he just threw up. Like, he probably ate a French fry sideways or something like that in the lunchroom.
No kids ever threw up before then at school.
Never.
Ever.
And so I asked him, I was like, well, what's the approved list of symptoms? Because they said, actually throwing up is a symptom. I'm like,
remember this.
Throwing up, a respiratory thing? And they're like, yeah. And so they gave me this paper that was like everything.
It was literally every symptom known to man.
Runny nose, cough, all this stuff. I was like, yeah, buy that. Yeah. Then it was like throwing up, all kinds of other random stuff. I was like, so basically, if you're breathing, you have COVID.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah.
They're like, breathing normally, shortness of breath, long breaths, all of the above could be symptoms
if your
of COVID.
chest is rising and falling periodically throughout the day, I'm like, wow, with this standard, you have the excuse to get every single living soul vaccinated, and you don't really have to give them an excuse for it.
And let me tell you this, about 3 months ago, I called my mom over in the UK because I want an American audience to understand, like, number one, in Malta, for example, everyone had to get vaccinated. Like, you couldn't even go to the store to get food if you weren't vaccinated.
Wow.
And if you flew into, they monitored you. It was insane. But I called my mum up. Imagine how disappointing this is, because I've literally been on national news in the UK talking about the fact that I wouldn't take the vaccine. And my mum goes, yeah, I went with my friend. She went to get the vaccine today. And I went, no. And she went, well, the pharmacist said if you were my mom, I would tell you to take the vaccine. I'm associated like a third booster. And I went, but you know what? He's not your son. I'm your son.
No.
And you know that I think you should not have the vaccine. So what are you doing? She goes, I know, I feel bad. And my mom's had some, again, you can't
you don't know.
particularly point to it. Like, but she's had some funky things happen.
Yeah, and you go,
and I'm like,
what if? Right.
You just don't know now.
Especially when you have the embalmers and all of the, the people who are performing autopsies and people who are saying we've seen this giant influx in the blood clots and all of these strange things that are happening that they can point to. I can't point to it. They're the ones who can point to and say it exploded after the COVID vaccine came out. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a whole lot of regret that I think a lot of people are going to live with, but there still needs to be accountability, which is why I keep talking about it. I understand, Matt, that probably won't happen, but I'm still going to freaking keep talking about it until there is.
But you know what, as well, the other thing, Sarah, is how many people were lone voices within that period of time that actually gave courage and encouraged other people to stand up and say, I feel inside that I don't want to do this, but I'm on my own, I'm isolated, so I want to give you props for standing up, because people just memory hole that, don't they? They memory hole it. They go, oh, okay, well, that was then and whatever. But not, the pressure was not pleasant, was it, Sarah?
No, I mean, I was very financially punished by the YouTube overlords for that. I know you were punished as well. So it's like, listen, anyone who says, I know we got to go to break here. Anyone who says, oh, you're just doing this for the money. If you speak out against any sort of vaccine ever, trust me when I tell you, there's no money in that whatsoever. All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with an Epstein update you're not going to want to miss. What a world we're living in, where you read headlines like the following. It says, on Monday night, the House GOP lawmakers blocked a maneuver from Democrats to force the release of all the files on Jeffrey Epstein, which would have pushed the DOJ to make all documents related to Epstein public within 30 days on a website. So you read that and you're like, wait, what the hell? What are you talking about? The House GOP blocked the Democrats to force the release of all of these files. So here's what happened. Ro Khanna from California, Democrat, moved to attach an amendment to the Genius Act, as well as a defense spending bill. So they were trying to attach an amendment to this act. It was like the crypto bill. And there was a rumor that was floating around that this would have... there would be some sort of a non-censoring of the victims, but that actually has been dispelled. So I don't know, Jason, have you heard why the Republicans are saying that they blocked this? Is it because it was an amendment attached to a separate bill and they want to keep everything clean? Do you know?
Well, I know that Anna Paulina Luna, who... I just love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, we know.
Her big brain. She's just a smart woman. Now, she is very, very smart, but she is very, very hot.
She's beautiful.
She's both. But she was talking about how the subterfuge and misdirection on this, and how she said this would have effectively this whatever was trying to get pushed through. It was labeled as release the Epstein files, basically would have handed control over control of the House over to the Democrats, and on a bunch of different things. So I knew right when I saw this, that's bullcrap. There's obviously some more going on to that, but this is not how it's being reported in the media.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm like, well, I know for a fact that it's not now all of a sudden the GOP who's like, no, don't do that. Don't release the Epstein files, please, God, anything but that. And the Democrats are like, oh my God, we need to see every single one of these names. It's like, all right, I know that that's not the case. I don't trust you guys at all. So I figured that there was more to the story there.
Yeah, tons more. But I am getting concerned that there are a lot of Democrats that are jumping on this. It's not just, you mentioned Ro Khanna. Multiple others that I've seen over the past few days that have been coming out, and all of a sudden they're being very vocal on release the Epstein files. Why would they do that?
Right.
Are they just piling on because they see division, and so now they're like, yeah, let's sow more of the division? Or is there something else? Like, I don't, President Trump, I don't know if you plan on getting into this or not, but President Trump's, Truth Social post where...
Which one?
I guess this one. Well, today there was another one a couple of days ago or yesterday or 2 days ago, where he was kind of labeling out how there was all these other things that they needed to, keep an eye on. The other scandals, mentioned Russiagate, mentioned a bunch of other things. Everything that he called out was clearly a Democrat operation, like, Russiagate, Hillary Clinton, Steele dossier, all that, used to try and damage Donald Trump.
Discredit him. Yeah, personally.
Now, the chain of custody on the Epstein files is old. It's a 2009 case, I believe. Yeah. It's gone through multiple administrations, including the past 4 years with the people in the Biden administration. I'm worried what the heck they've done with that thing. I have no idea what they've done to it at this point.
Yeah.
And my personal, this is my personal, I guess, opinion on this is that I'm sure the Trump administration is just as frustrated as a lot of us are. I think that they were expecting a lot to be there, and they could just finally declassify, let a bunch of stuff out. But like I said, so many people have had their hands on this. I don't know if things have been deleted, like maybe a minute, which is now 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
From a prison video.
Shows that, that video, just to tell the audience what you're referring to, the video of Jeffrey Epstein that they said, we've got full video of Jeffrey Epstein in a cell proving that he didn't kill himself. The metadata showed that they edited it 3 times.
Yeah.
That's not good. Well, I should say someone edited it. I don't know who, but clearly someone did.
So we still haven't got a good explanation for that. So Bondi said that there was an issue with the digital video recorder, the DVR, within the prison system, and it would reboot at midnight.
Every night.
No.
Well, at midnight or at 11:59?
I don't know if she said.
But that was why there was a missing minute.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I had never heard of that. I've looked at CCTV quite a bit in my former career. I talked to another guy who said that he has heard of older systems rebooting like that. But she said that they would provide other video to show that this was a normal thing.
And they haven't.
And nothing. Instead, we've gotten video forensic people saying, wait a minute, this is actually more in depth than we thought. So why aren't you just coming out and showing us this stuff?
And that's what is so frustrating, is it's like, I am, from your actions, I am left to conclude that you're covering this up. And I'm not talking about President Trump himself, but Pam Bondi's actions stink to high heaven, I think. It's either that or she's painfully incompetent and not running her own department.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
Yeah, and I just think the Democrats are just throwing shit at the wall because they know that, look, how many times have they said stuff? What do they say about Russiagate? Nothing ever came of it, right? And they just went, okay, good.
They'll literally
never
still go on
prosecute.
MSNBC.
Yeah, they'll still say it.
Yeah.
So I think the Democrats are just like, hey, listen, if we can insinuate that Trump is in the files in some way, shape, or form, and we can do that by going out and saying we want it released, then it makes it look like the GOP is effectively, or the Trump administration is effectively holding something back, which they are actually in some way, shape, or form. But whether or not it's nefarious is, we don't know.
I don't know either. And yeah, especially even, it seems like the president's clearly trying to tell us that this is a trap. In what way of a trap? I'm not entirely sure yet.
It's for him.
But yeah, that's what it seems like to me as well. I would not know. Look at the track record over the past 8 years. Yeah. Clearly they're willing to stoop to those levels. I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm giving the Trump administration a pass on this, though, because if that is the case, look, you have our mandate. You have our support.
Yep.
So just tell us.
Just tell us.
Just say, like, there's some discrepancies.
Think we wouldn't believe it?
Look,
It's not the first time.
It's like, buddy, your poll numbers went up every single time they waged another, lawsuit against you or charged you with all these bullshit crimes. Like, your poll numbers went up. The American people support you, especially in the face of the Democrats doing all of these things. So why would you not just want to tell us?
Yeah. At the bare minimum, I wish that they would establish get a special prosecutor. If you need to start over, start over. Get a special prosecutor, find out what's happening, and make everything as transparent and public as possible. And then I think we'll be fine at the end of that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Let's listen to everyone's favorite, Representative Jasmine Crockett, claiming that Texas is racist. Watch.
So first of all, it hasn't quite been said clearly that Texas has always been found to be intentionally discriminatory. And I want y'all to understand the makeup of my state. The state is a majority minority state. And what this legislature historically has done is what they plan to do again, is to dilute the voices of people of color in order to make sure that they can get to where they're trying to go. We saw this Department of Justice decided to put out a letter, and what did they do? We only have 4 seats that are represented by black folk, where the vast majority of the people that get to decide who they represent them.
She is on the struggle bus right now.
They decided to attack 3 of the 4 seats that we have in the state. They decided to go after a Latina.
That's enough.
They are specifically decided.
God dear, that woman.
I want to know where she and AOC take their lessons for public speaking, because you can literally see the hamster on the wheel turning very slowly as they formulate what their next word is going to be, because there's such a long pause between each word.
I love it. Isn't she running for Cornyn seat or thinking about it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that she has said it, but they put her in polls and she's like the leading Democrat contender.
Oh, it's amazing. She'll go more national. She'll be on more shows. It's
I know.
Nonstop entertainment.
The gift that keeps on giving.
She's from the Kamala Harris School of Improv.
She really is.
All of them. She hasn't quite graduated to
women?
her stupidity level yet.
Good question, Sarah. Why is that?
Why is it always the women? I have questions. I mean, my number one thought is that women
should be at home.
Yes. Yeah. Be in politics at all.
Pregnant and barefoot, baby. You know it.
But I mean, really, like, why? It's just these embarrassing women who go out there and can't speak, and they're just, I'm gonna think of my next word in just a second, but we're just gonna keep on trucking. Everybody obviously knows that Texas is inherently racist, and historically, what has been done is what is happening right now.
Historically, Texas has been Democrat. I don't know if she knows that or not.
Well, that makes sense as to why it's racist.
It's only been Republican in modern history.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Ku Klux Klan, Democrats.
They don't care.
Jim Crow, Democrats. But she's not smart enough to realize that.